Day going? How's your day going, Alyssa?
It's only 9:30 here, so it's too early to tell everyone. Although what I will say is I have tomorrow off, and so I am very excited that today is my Friday. And looking at the names that are joining in the room, it looks like some of you are probably from maybe Nepal, maybe somewhere in Africa. And I bet you've already finished your Thursday and you're ready for Friday as well tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're live on YouTube now and do have someone watching already, so that's nice. Ah,
Well, welcome to our pre-arrival series. Um, some of you may know us already if you've deferred, and some of you maybe this is the first time meeting us. So, PJ, would you like to introduce yourself first?
yes. Hello, everybody. My name is PJ Gurung. I started full-time fairly recently, and I'm the Assistant Director for Strategic Communications and Recruitment. I'm from Nepal, and I have been here at Minnesota State Mankato for quite a while. So I will be able to answer questions about student life, any of that. If you had any questions, we can, kind of do that towards the end of the session. But it's really nice to be here. It's our first pre-arrival session for spring, so this is very exciting, and I'm very excited to be here today.
Yeah, PJ has actually been here longer than I have been here. I think you came in 2016
Yeah.
and I started at MSU in 2017. So my name is Alyssa Morrison and I'm the director of, what am I the director of? International Recruitment and Communications. Um, but before I was in this role, I actually held PJ's role and I've done many things when it comes to international students. So you're in good hands with us. I have over 10 years of experience, and PJ, while being a new full-time staff member, also has a lot of experience being in your shoes. So we'll go ahead and get started. Do you want me to start or do you have?
You can start, Alyssa. Sorry, I
Okay.
should have clarified.
No, that's good. I think you did tell me, and then I um, got distracted. So I think, as all of you know, you do need to request your I-20. And I recognize that that can sometimes be a little confusing. So the first thing we are going to do today is actually take some time. Oh, and PJ, could you allow me to share my screen, please? Um,
Yes.
we're going to take some time today to review what the I-20 request actually looks like and how to complete it. Because I will say our turnaround time has been pretty good. You've been getting, our students have been getting their I-20s within 1 week, so long as they have given us all of the information that we actually require. So, all right. Thank you, PJ. All right. I'm assuming you can all see my screen now. Is that correct? Perfect. So, the first thing that you are going to have to do once you are admitted, if you have not already done that, is set up your MavMail account. That is sometimes complicated because we have multi-factor authentication. Um, I highly recommend that when you are setting up the MFA, which is short for multi-factor authentication, that you use the app that can go on your phone. If you set up the multi-factor authentication with your phone number and then you get your visa and you come to the United States, you could experience some difficulty because likely you will not have access to your foreign phone number while you're here. So as you are setting your multi-factor authentication or MFA up, please set it up with the app. If you have questions about getting into your MAV mail, we recommend reaching out to IT Solutions because they're going to be the number one people who can help you and give you guidance. If you email them, a lot of times, if you're having a lot of trouble, they'll actually send you a Zoom link so that you can hop on a call with them and they can walk through the steps with you. Okay. So I'm not going to talk too much more about that because, like I said, IT is really going to be your place of contact if you have issues logging into your MavMail account. Once you log into your MavMail account, though, you should receive an invite into the KIC portal, or you likely already have. And with that, you'll click on the invite link and it should bring you to this page directly once you're here. You can also just type this into your browser window, and it will usually pop up. You'll just have to do the login and authentication then through our login window. All right. On this screen, though, this is some pretty important information. All right. We definitely want to welcome you to the Mav fam. But with that means that you really need to learn how to be a college student and learn how to navigate and find your own information. On this first page, we have a welcome video because we are truly really happy that you've applied and been accepted to our university, and our staff wants to greet you. Underneath that are your next steps. So before you even start this, I recommend that you get your bank statements in order. For your bank statement, you need a bank statement that is dated within 6 months of the day you submit your request. But we do not want 6 months worth of statements, okay? I don't need to see your financial history from 6 months. I just need 1 month of your statements to see that you have the amount of money that we need. All right. You're also going to do a financial sponsor letter, and I will show you where to get that template in tab 4. So after you do all of that, then go ahead and get started on this request. You can notice here that if you are outside the US right now and you need an I-20, you are required to submit your request by October 1st. Okay. So once you read through all of that, we then begin navigating through the tabs on the top, which is really easy. You just click on it and it's going to bring up the next page for you. This page tells you about what the I-20 is for. And down here is where you begin telling us what you need from us. There are 3 options here. Okay, there, I think, can you all see those options? Great. This first one is what most of you will likely choose. I am outside the US and need a Form I-20 to apply for an F1 visa. So if you're still currently residing at home and you do not have a visa, this is the one you will select. If you are already here and transferring an active CVIS record, you would select the second one. And then if you're already here, maybe as a dependent of your parents who are here on a visa, you could select the third one, but this is very rare. Most of you, again, will be selecting this first one. Okay, that indicates to us what we need to do for your I-20 setup. Then you need to upload a color photo or scan of your passport ID page. Okay, so you just take a picture on your phone. You can do all of this on your phone. It's not necessarily the most convenient because it's kind of small, but you can definitely do it. So you could take the photo on your phone, log into your KIC portal, and just upload it directly from there. Once you have those items done, we're going over to tab 3. Oh, and look, it's telling me you didn't upload your passport. Are you sure? Like, you're not going to be able to submit this. So if you get that screen, it means you've missed some sort of information. All right, I got a little happy there with my clicking finger. The thing I want to say first is we really want everything to be accurate for you. Accuracy is of utmost importance to us, as it says right on this screen. But we cannot be accurate if you do not provide us with accurate information. So this is really on you to confirm that you are giving us the correct information, that you're spelling your name correctly, that you're putting the date of birth in the right format. You're giving us your country of citizenship and your city of birth. Some other things to know is the major that you've selected on your application is going to be the one that's used on your I-20. If you've selected two majors, your I-20 may list both of those majors, even if you forgot that you selected two. Minors do not appear on I-20s. So even if you have one, it will not appear there. Sometimes, though, the I-20 program looks slightly different than what you think it should, and that's because we have to put it into the zip code category that it fits into. And the zip codes, that's defined by the US government, and there are specific terms. So while your I-20 may say one thing, know that actually in our records, it's saying the correct item. Um, as we go through things, if you need to update or correct any items in the program information, you need to put it here. Please tell us if there are any of the above information that should be changed. The other thing to know is that pre-professional tracks are actually not considered programs here. Pre-professional tracks are supplemental academic paths and are not considered a major. So students who have selected only pre-med on their application, you will likely be changed to biological sciences or biochemistry as listed here. All right. So then you'll scroll down and we're going to confirm your first name, last name. Okay. And if those aren't right, you're going to indicate that here. In that, please tell us if any of the above information should be changed. We can see that I'm in Maverick Stomper's account. He is our mascot. He was born in 1868. He's very old. Your city of birth is really important. And what you need to remember is your city of birth is not necessarily the thing that is listed on your passport. Typically, your passport gives a place of birth, and many places are actually a region or the larger city. So, like, I know with PJ, we talked about it, and PJ mentioned Kathmandu, and this is, a city, but it also is probably a region. And so you could have something different listed on your city of birth, even if your passport says Kathmandu. Another example, on my passport, it says that I was born in Minnesota, USA. Minnesota is huge, okay? It's not the city of my birth, it is the state, the region. So I wouldn't put Minnesota just because it's on my passport. I would actually put the city in Minnesota where I was born, okay? You'll also fill in your country of citizenship. You're going to go down, and this is where you're going to see your program start date, the end date, the major that we have put into the zip code. So if you're an IT major or computer science, it usually goes here. It's going to tell you the level. Some of you may log into your account and these dates may be incorrect. Maybe it still lists 8/19/2024 because you were originally admitted for fall. We do not update anything on your KIC portal until you tell us. We are serving over 2,000 admits, so we cannot just track everyone and make updates willy-nilly. So these dates do not change if you're deferring until you submit a defer attendance request. Okay. And then contact information, you will have a foreign address listed here. Stomper Maverick does not because I did not give him one in his application. So go through, double check all of that. Then financial details. Okay, city of birth is one common reason that we have to send back for clarification, but financial details is also a really big reason. Okay. You are required to give us two documents, the bank documentation or bank statement and your financial sponsor letter. We cannot do anything if you do not give us that financial sponsor letter because I need to see that your grandmother or uncle or whoever is paying for your college education is aware that they are paying for your college education. Okay. So you need to do both of those things. So we give you the requirements for your financial statements here. You need to read these because a lot of times we get statements that don't have any of these items, and then of course we have to reject them. And then here on this hyperlink, that's where you're actually going to see that you can download the template for the financial sponsor letter. You'll download that, give it to your sponsor to fill out and sign, and then upload. If you go down, this is typically what your tuition costs are going to break out to. You can see that I do not have the correct things in Stomper Mavericks finances to be a bachelor student, which is what he was listed as. So I was doing a different demonstration where he was a graduate assistant. On this side, you cannot make any changes. We put that information in there for you. But you can make changes over here and list new amounts for your personal funding. Usually you cannot fill in school funding amount. We will do that for you. And we will list the International Maverick Scholarship. And then you can put what your sponsor hopes to provide you here. So maybe $5,000 and Alyssa Morrison, Auntie. Okay. This is what we are going to put on your I-20. If your sponsor indicates that they are giving you or sponsoring you up to $35,000, that is what goes on your I-20. We will not make changes. It is your responsibility to make sure you understand the funding structure. You'll upload bank statements here, financial sponsor letter, and then you go up to number 5, which is to actually submit your I-20 request. You can see I'm actually getting a pop-up here again because I did not submit the forms that I needed to. And so you will not be able to submit this request until you have uploaded those items. Once you've done that, you'll read through all of these and you will have a submit button that appears. I don't because I didn't include everything I needed. So there was kind of a lengthy overview, but I know that there are lots of questions about this, and this process is really dependent on you. You need to check your email, your MavMail account for clarification requests and for notifications when your I-20 is ready. If you have not received your I-20 and it's been 2 weeks since you've submitted the request, you likely have a clarification request that is sitting in your MavMail inbox where we're saying, hey, you didn't list a city of birth. We need that. Or your statement didn't actually meet the requirements. We need you to upload a new statement. We can't do anything until you take action. So again, our turnaround time right now is about 1 week. And so if it's taking longer than that, you need to check your MavMail for updates. All right. Thanks. And now back to you, PJ.
Hello, thank you for doing that. I think that'll be very helpful for students that are still getting used to the portal. So that's very helpful. So now you know how to submit your I-20 request. And then now we're going to kind of transition into everything else. after you get your I-20. So I'm gonna share my screen really quickly. And Alyssa, whenever you need to dip out, you can.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet all of you who are listening. I have another meeting in 7 minutes, so I'm going to head out. But again, you're in great hands with PJ. So enjoy the rest of the webinar. See ya.
Bye, Alyssa. See
Thanks, PJ.
ya. Alrighty, it's just us now. I don't know where you guys are watching from, but hello. We do have a Q&A tab in the bottom. So if you had any questions, you can leave them there and then I can answer those for you at the end of the session. But we're kind of going to go into your visa prep. So let me just share my screen really quickly. Um, choo, choo, choo. Okay. I hope you guys can see my screen because I cannot see you guys. So, okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen okay. Will you guys let me know? Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay? Or like a raise hand, just so I know. That'd be really helpful. Um, all right. Okay. Thank you, Dylan. So, welcome, future Mavericks. We're so excited to hopefully welcome you guys in the spring. Very excited for that. Um, a few things that we're going to go over today is after you get your I-20, how to pay for your CVIS, I-901 fee, how to schedule your visa interview, and then we're going to go into some conversation about how to prepare for your visa interview. Um, so Alyssa kind of showed us how to submit your I-20 request, which is this is what you're going to get back. Um, A few things to remember is obviously the CVIS ID. So your CVIS ID is a ID number that's used by the US government to track your F1 immigration record when you're in the US. This is a very important ID because again, like I said, it tracks your F1 status while you're here in the States. So this is a very important number that you're going to want to look at. Another thing that you're going to also want to look at is the school information. So as you can see, there's a school information, including the school code. This is going to be important when you're paying for your CVIS because this is what indicates that you are going to be attending Minnesota State University Mankato and it identifies the university. Because I'm sure you've applied to I'm not sure how many universities you apply to, but this is basically saying this is the school I've selected. I'm going to Minnesota State University, Mankato. What's important for you guys to do is, of course, make sure that all of your information here is correct. So you want to check your name, spellings, make sure that it matches your passport correctly. So when you get your I-20, just make sure you're going over the information uh, thoroughly and making sure that everything on there is correct. Um, I'm gonna make sure I don't have anything else on here. Okay, so again, make sure you look over your I-20 carefully once you receive it. Make sure all of the information is correct. Make sure there's no typos of any sort. Make sure your information matches what's on your passport. And make sure you keep it safe because this is going to be very important. After that, so this is when you would be paying. So the first step before you schedule your visa appointment is to pay your CVIS I-901 fee. It's a $350 payment that's valid for 12 months. So let's say you are unable to get an interview date for spring and you had to defer your application, you wouldn't have to pay that $350 fee again, which is good since it is valid for a year. Now, the CVIS ID that we talked about earlier, so your CVIS ID, um, that's what's going to go on there. So just make sure you're putting in the correct information. It's usually N and then there's like 9 digits after, I think, but just make sure you put all of your relevant information. And one more thing that you should make sure you do is to print keep the receipts safe. Sometimes it can take a couple of days for that to show up for um, the embassy or the consulate. And so it'll be nice for you to have that receipt on hand because then you can be like, oh, it's not showing on your system yet, but I have the receipt right here and I've paid that $350 fee. So once you've filled out this and you've submitted it, just make sure you save that receipt just for your own safekeeping. It's always good to have on hand. And it just like, just validates that you did pay that fee just in case there's something with the system and you're not showing up on there yet. So I highly recommend just saving that and making sure that you have it. And the website is also listed on here. So if you want to take a picture of it, we're also live streaming on YouTube. And so if you wanted to go back after the session and look at any of the information that you're like, oh my God, I know PJ said something, but I don't remember, you can just go to our YouTube and the live session will be recorded on there. So you can just rewatch the video and find the information as well if you don't want to, because obviously it's a lot of information and we don't expect you to remember everything. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just know that you can always rewatch this session on our YouTube channel. But after you've paid your CIS I901 fee, which is a $350 payment, and again, this is for the US government, this is not coming to the university at all. This just validates, again, like I said, that you are planning to attend or you want to attend our university and just activates it essentially. For the fun part, this is when you would start trying to schedule your visa interview. Now, I know that, depending on where you're watching this from, visa interview dates might be difficult to come by, or, there's like a 365-day wait or anything like that. We recommend that you look for a US embassy near you. But if you start early, you also have the ability to see if there are other options or other places that you could go to instead for your visa interview. But the first thing you're going to want to do is complete this non-immigrant visa, so the DS-160 form. This is for your visa interview when you go see. Yes, so this is for your visa interview, and as you can see, that's what it looks like. You're going to want to start a new file. The link on how to get there is also on the screen. So just remember, this is usually a pretty long process. It takes about 90 minutes to complete. So before you start this, you're going to want to make sure you are at a location where you have good Wi-Fi. You're going to want to make sure you have everything that you need before you start the form. And it is a $185 fee. Tips for filing the DS-160. Like I said earlier, it does take about 90 minutes to complete. So you're going to want to start and like kind of block out your calendar in a way where you have that amount of time to sit down and go through all of the information. You're also going to want to have a photo ready before you begin filing out the application because that's the photo you will upload into your DS-160. And then once you get your visa, that's the photo that they use for the visa stamp. So just make sure you have a photo ready. And the photo requirements are very similar to what it would be like for a passport. And so just double check the requirements and have that photo ready. If you had to make a passport relatively, like, if you made a passport like pretty early, and you have that photo and it's still pretty recent, you can of course use that as well. But otherwise, you can just take a photo. Again, like I said, the requirements are very similar to what it would be like for a passport. And just have that on hand before you start the application. Again, I cannot reiterate enough that you need to set aside at least 90 minutes to finish this. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, I'm just going to come back to it or I'll just like rush it. Don't do that. It's a pretty long application, so you want to make sure you have enough time to complete it. This is a question that we do get about the DS-160. Again, we also have a step-by-step guide on how to file the DS-160 on the portal. So if you already have access to the portal, you can just go there and download that guide. It's very helpful. I highly recommend going through it if you're if you already have access to your portal, because then that will have a step-by-step visual guide on what to fill out in your DS-160, what information is relevant. So if you're able to download that guide, but this is a question that we get a lot, and that's about the US point of contact. This is a question that we get relatively often about like, oh, well, I don't know anybody in the US. Like, who do I put down? I don't have any family or friends there. Um, we recommend, or like you could be like, oh, I don't know if I should put down Alyssa or Pamela, because Pamela issues most of her I-20s, or if I should put down PJ, put down do not know. That way, um, that way it's you just know that there's somebody at Minnesota State University Mankato in our office, and somebody will be able to help you if there's any questions or anything like that. So when you get to the US point of contact information on your DS-160 form, just make sure you select do not know, don't put a name there. And the organization is obviously Minnesota State University Mankato. Relationship to you, you'll put down school official. Centennial Student Union 250 is our address. Mankato, Minnesota, zip code 56001, our office number, and our email. So make sure you listed this so you can take a screenshot or a picture of this if you'd like. But again, like I said earlier, we also have the guide on the international portal. So you can also go back to that and download that if you'd like. But otherwise, take a quick picture of it. It'll be very useful. Now, like I was saying before, visa interview dates might be hard to come by depending on the country you're watching this from. Um, and there might be a lot of questions about like, well, I applied for spring, but there are no dates for spring. Like, and I just, so if you're in that situation, please note that after you pay the $185 visa fee and you complete the 160, you have to still select the earliest available date that's on there. So select that date, and then you can submit an emergency or expedited visa request. Depending on, embassies and consulates, they may have different processes for scheduling emergency requests or expedited visa requests. So make sure you visit the website of the embassy or consulate that you're going to apply from. B, make sure you check what the expedited process looks like for that consulate. And C, just make sure you've paid the visa fee, you've selected the earliest available date, and then make sure you go through the emergency request process. And depending on their availability, they might be able to squeeze you in or a expedited visa, so you can get an earlier visa date if they open up anything. So this is what we would recommend doing. And just remember to relax and breathe. Like, I know this is a very big step into, starting a new chapter of your lives, and this can all seem very overwhelming, but it's also important to know that you do have the support and resource system here for you to help guide you through that process. And so make sure you, first of all, to download the guide, and there's a lot of other very helpful resources and tips and tricks for you that you could utilize as you're getting ready for your visa interview. So that's what I would recommend doing. And if you're able to get an expedited visa, that's awesome, because then you can just go in earlier. Otherwise, we're here to help you out with deferring the application and then figuring out what the next steps could be. One of the biggest things personally that I did, because again, like I said earlier, I am from Nepal, and so my interview was 2016. So this was a while ago. And one of the things that I did was I got like a document folder and I just printed off everything that I needed and I put it in order in the folder, because we'll talk more about the day of the interview and going in, but I had one of like these folders with me that I took, and all of my documents were in here. So my I-20, my passport copy, your CVIS I-901 fee that I talked about earlier, which is very important. Just in case it didn't pop up on their system yet, you have that receipt to show them. Your visa application fee payment receipt. So that's the DS-160 receipt that you get, the $185 fee. So you're going to want to have that on hand as well. Just print it out, keep it for yourself for your safekeeping. Um, your photo for visa, just in case, again, you weren't able to upload it on your DS-160, you can still take it with you. So make sure you have that. Your admissions letter is the one, this is going to get more complicated, but your admissions letter was sent to you through a different dashboard. If you recall, if you think back on when you were submitting your application, you're going to want to print that out as well, download it and save it. And you should take it with you just in case they want to see it. More likely than not, visa interviews are generally 2 to 3 minutes long, and they're probably not going to ask for all of it, but it's never a bad idea to just have them ready on hand with you in case they're like, oh, can we still see it? You're prepared. It looks good. And you look prepared. So that's always good. Your bank statements and financial affidavits. So that would be stuff that you've uploaded onto the portal for your financial. Do keep in mind that they need to be at least 6 months. So they need to be pretty recent in the 6 months. So have those with you. Your academic transcripts. So all of your transcripts from high school, your university, if you're transferring from a different university. So anything from your high school and your secondary or university transcripts would be good for you to take just in case they do ask for them. Your English proficiency test, so if you took TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, any of that, you just want to make sure you have the scores printed and ready to go with you if they want to see it. And finally, documentation of ties to your home country. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the next coming slides, but it's essential that if you have like things like if your family has investments or like any other companies that you want to come back to after you graduate and work at, it's not a bad idea to take those with you because then that shows that you do have a plan in place after you graduate to come back home and help out your family business or start a business, any of that sort. So if you have that stuff, take it with you. Great. If you don't, if that's fine too. But if you do have this information, you can always take it with you. Um, these are some helpful resources for you. If you're interested in prepping for your visa interview as you're gearing up, if you already have a visa interview in place, Argo Visa, they have a YouTube like playlist on there that you can look at. They have tips and tricks for you. You can also go to the US State of Government website. NAFSA also has a top 10 visa application tips. So that's another very helpful resource. So take a picture of this if you can, go through all of that so that you're prepping for your interview as you're gearing up. Because I remember I was very, very nervous for my interview. And funny thing is, my interview lasted maybe 2 minutes, not even. But I was so nervous. And I recall utilizing a lot of websites like NAFSA and watching videos on YouTube just to prep and practice. I would practice with myself. Like I would record myself answering questions because you can also look up like, oh, potential questions to answer. So I would record myself answering those questions so it didn't sound rehearsed because you also don't want to sound like you just memorize your answers. That's not convincing at all. So those are just some things that I personally did before my interview. Yay, now we're going to talk about some questions that the embassy, the consulate, the interviewer might potentially ask you. I was asked at least 3 of these questions for my interview, but again, like I said, my interview was very relatively quick, so my answers were very short, concise, to the point. If they're asking you why you want to study in the US and at this university, you don't want to go into a tangent about like things that are not relevant to that answer. So only answer what is asked of you don't give more information than necessary because it just takes up time and it doesn't really contribute to what you're trying to say. So why do you want to study in the US and at this university? When you get asked that question, you could answer truthfully and honestly. So if you have a program that you're very interested in that we provide, you can talk about our program, our research opportunities that you saw if you're interested in research. Um, you could also say if you have friends here already and they're the ones that introduced you to the university, you can talk about that and say, hey, I had friends there and they told me about the university and the programs and everything that's good there, and I wanted to go there as well. Being mindful to keep it short, concise, and to the point, and not going into a tangent about everything else. Um, what are your academic goals in the US? Talk about your program. If you saw anything on the website about our program, you can talk about that as well. And then what are your professional goals after finishing a program? This is an important question because you have to have ties to your home country, right? So you have to tell the US consulate or convince them that you will be returning after you complete your studies, after you finish your bachelor's degree, you're going to go back home. And this is where you can say, I really want to, come back and start a company or start a business, if you have family ties back home with your family business, this is where you could also tie that in. But just making sure that you are trying to convince them of, um, or like letting them know that you will be returning after you graduate is key. Because you don't want to say, oh, well, I'm just going to stay in the US after I graduate. And that's going to be that. Because we'll talk about this a little bit more, but you want to make sure that you're convincing and letting them know that you will be returning home because that's what your F1 visa is for, is you're just here for college and then once you're done and you finished up all of your other um, like OPT and CPT and stuff that you'll be returning home. So the ties to your home country, this is where the documentations, if your family has investments and stuff, comes into play because you can just show them that and say, here, look, see, my family has investments in these, this, and this is what I want to take over. So I want to come back. Interview should be in English. So take a deep breath and then you can like go in. The day of your visa interview. So there are a few things that you are going to want to think about or prep for. You will go through a security checkpoint upon arrival. No phones or technologies are allowed with you past that security checkpoint. So everything you have, you hand them over and you just take all of their documents that you need and you go to the interview. So if I were you, I wouldn't carry like laptops and bigger electronics because it's not necessary. You can just grab whatever you need, like your phones, if you need a flash drive for documents. But I would try to keep things to a minimum as to what you're taking and only take what's necessary. You will leave all of your items like electronics with embassy security and you will collect it after the interview, which is why it's essential that you're not taking a lot of stuff because the security bins are also not that big. So you just leave your stuff there and you head inside. First things first, arrive early. This is very important because um, in the US, they say like if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. And if you're like right on time, then you're already late. So it's essential that, and that's just like American culture, I feel like, where you need to arrive early to things. But that also means it gives you enough time in case there are some issues during security with the person in front of you, like they brought something that they were not supposed to, and there's a delay. You've taken that into consideration. You have enough time to get through security and to your appointment on time. So arrive early. It's never a bad idea to get there early and make sure you have enough time. So dress for success. It's it's always a good idea to dress kind of conservative during the visa interviews. So, for guys, if you just want to wear like a button-up shirt and like jeans, something like nothing that's shredded jeans, things like that. I know they're very popular right now, but try and keep it simple. If you guys are going to wear a shirt, just make sure it's ironed and not wrinkly because you want to dress for success. You want to dress like you took the time to make yourself look put together and that you're prepared and you took the time to groom yourself. If you show up just disheveled, messy hair, and you're just wearing like stuff that looks like pajamas, it's not going to look like you're taking this seriously. So try and dress for success. Do your hair. No, I'm not saying like put a full face of makeup on, but at least look groomed enough. So remember your documents. We went through all of those documents earlier. So you want to make sure you have all of that in the file. Like I said, something like this is really nice. Make sure they're organized and in order and you know where everything is. So if they ask for something, you're not like, oh, I don't know. You know exactly where things are so you can show it to them. This makes it so that there's no delays. Nobody's waiting for anything. You're just not making a mess. You don't look all like scrambled. Everything's on hand. You just look professional and organized. So that's always good. Eat a good meal beforehand. You could be waiting at the embassy for hours with no food. Usually they'll have like a water fountain or something, and sometimes they might not even have that. So make sure before you leave for your interview to have a good breakfast. I'm really bad about this because I'm not a breakfast person. I don't like breakfast, but that's also um, like been really bad for me because then midday I'm starving and I'm like, wait, I didn't eat anything. And now I'm just not here because I'm just so tired because I didn't eat and my body hasn't had enough nutrition. Um, so learn from me. Don't do that. Just make sure you eat a good meal, like breakfast, eggs, something with protein. Because again, you could be at the embassy for some time. So you want to make sure you're nourished and you're not hungry during your interview. Because that does kind of sometimes I feel negatively impact how you perform because you're just not all there. The interview will be a stand-up visa window, so there's no seats. You stand, there's a glass window, and then the interviewer is on the other side. Just make sure you're speaking loud and clear so the interviewer can, consulate, person can hear you. Because if they can't hear you, they're not going to be able to hear your answers, and it's just not going to make you look like a like you're there. So just make sure you're speaking in a loud and clear voice enough for them to hear you. Um, and again, take a deep breath. Interviews are typically 2 to 3 minutes in length, so they're not very long at all. Just remember, my biggest tip is to be to the point, um, and just direct. Don't give a long, winded up answer about like your family history. If that's not what's been asked of you, don't say it. Just answer what's asked of you and leave it at that. That just makes it so the interviewer is understanding exactly what they need to know, and that's that. Um, and obviously, the biggest thing is to be calm and confident. It's a very nerve-wracking day. I remember I was extremely nervous on my interview. I was so scared because I'm like, oh my God, this determines if I can go abroad and study or not. And this is, it was really scary. And so I completely understand that you would be very nervous. But before you go up to your window, before you go to your interview, just stand up straight, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that it's going to be okay, that you're going to do great, and just affirm yourself that it's not the end of the world. You're going to do fine. That's the most important thing. Just believe in yourself that you can do it and just go into the interview. I really believe in you guys and your capabilities, and I know that you guys are going to do amazing. Um, And we're here if you need any additional support. So email me if you'd like extra additional, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. So Spring orientation. So if you get your visa and you're going to be here, these are some important dates for you. Attendance is mandatory, so you have to be here during orientation. Spring 2025 orientation is going to be from January 6th through the 10th, 2025. You must be in Mankato on or before January 5th, 2025, so you have enough time to rest before coming in for check-in and everything, because we also don't want you to be so jet lagged that you're not able to concentrate and you're just tired. If you're able to come in here a little bit earlier with accommodations and stuff, that would be awesome too, because then you can settle in, kind of get to see Mankato as a town, go to different places that's here, and then you can come to check in. The first day you may enter the US is December 7th, 2024. You're not able to enter the US before this date. So if you're someone that has family here and you want to visit family and stuff, just make sure you're looking at it after December 7th. Um, and if you are going to come to Mankato December 7th and you don't have accommodations yet, please make sure you have those set in stone before you do come here, and make sure you're keeping the finances and stuff in mind because things can add up. We are going to do a pre-arrival session on finding housing, understanding tuition and fees, and everything like that in the next coming weeks. So if you haven't signed up or registered for them, you can register for those and you can join us for those sessions. If you're still looking for housing, we'll kind of talk about on-campus and off-campus housing options. If you're still confused about how tuition and stuff work, we are going to be doing other webinar sessions in the next coming weeks. So just make sure you check our schedule on the portal. Everything's on the portal. You were also sent an email out about it. So just make sure you sign up for it and attend. Um, so we are so excited to meet you. I will be here in the spring. And if you're here watching and you see me during check-in, please come up and say hi. I would really love to meet you guys in person. I love welcoming new international students because, again, I was in your shoes before, and it's been a whirlwind of an experience from my first semester here to where I am now. And I would love to talk about my experience. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those questions as well. So I am very excited. We all are in the office to meet you guys very soon. And we hope to see you. I'm very excited. One more thing. Orientation peer mentors are waiting for you. These are students, current students that are already attending Minnesota State Mankato. They will be here during orientation week as peer mentors to help you get to places, to different parts of campus. They're also going to be able to help you with placement testing, taking you to and like back and forth from different places. We're also going to have campus tours for you. And our peer mentors, again, are international students, so they would be able to answer questions for you if you're confused, if you have questions, they'll be your best point of contact as well once you're here. And they are ready to meet you soon. So I think that's the end of my screen. So I'm going to stop sharing screen for now. Okay, perfect. I know that that was a lot of information and it's probably really overwhelming for you guys, and I completely understand if you feel that way. Um, just remember that you can always rewatch this session on our YouTube. So if you want to go into our YouTube, if you don't have that yet, I can share our YouTube link in the chat because then you can always rewatch whatever part you forgot about. Because again, this is a lot of information. So if you wanted to, you could. I'm just going to add it to our chat here so you have that information. We also post a lot of pre-arrival content on our social media. So if you have Instagram, our Instagram handle is KICMNSU. We post a lot of information content, pre-arrival information on our Instagram. So definitely follow us there so you can keep up to date until the day of orientation, until you're here. We have a lot of our students that post about their day-to-day life on our Instagram. So if you're curious about what life is like in Minnesota, in Mankato, Instagram is a great place because then you can see what other internationals on campus are doing. You might see something that might pique your interest and you might want to join. We also have TikTok, but TikTok's more of our fun account, but you can also follow us. It's the same username. Um, and Instagram is usually, I feel like the part that I monitor quite often. So if you sent a DM or something, I'd be able to get back to you in like 24 to 48 hours. So if you have questions and it's like a very quick question, you can always DM us on Instagram and I will do my best to answer it as soon as I possibly can. But that is all for today's session. I think we're right on time. If you had any other questions, please feel free to leave it in the Q&A tab. And if it's something I can answer, I will answer. Otherwise, you can also email us at international@mnsu.edu. And I will also put my email down. So if you wanted to reach out to me, you could. So I have my email down as well. I'm also going to add it to our Instagram. I mean, sorry, our YouTube live. So people that are watching can also have that. So Instagram is KICMNSU. And then my email, of course. Alrighty. I think that is all for today's session. It was really nice to meet you guys again. This was our first pre-arrival session for the next few weeks. So I am excited to see you guys in our next pre-arrival information. I think our next one is on Monday, and that's understanding tuition and fees. So if you were curious about how that works, you can join us on Monday. If you wanted to join us on Zoom, just make sure you register for it. Because that way you'll get the links and everything, you'll be able to join. Otherwise, if you guys don't have any more questions, I am going to end the session here now. But again, it was really lovely to meet you guys. Dylan and Hilkia. I don't think I said that right, but it's really nice to have you guys here. And I will see you guys in our next pre-arrival session. Have a good day, night, wherever you are. It is 10:30 a.m. here, so I'm gonna drink some more coffee and get to work. Happy Thursday or Friday.